Hi there, I'm Katy Rose and welcome to the Rooted Reinvention, a podcast exploring the real-world journey of reinventing who we are without burning out or burning our whole life down. I teach people how to make lasting change by melding my Masters of Neuroscience and my Cognitive Therapy qualification with common self-help tools, spiritual concepts, and my personal experience. Because being yourself doesn't need to feel so damn hard. To get more information on podcast episodes, please visit rootedreinvention.com/podcast. Something that's been coming up for quite a few people in my life is this idea of work-life balance, or just balance in general, life, work or otherwise. And this is something I've always had quite a lot to say about, but haven't always known exactly what words to use because people have such a particular view of what this looks like, what this means, how things should or shouldn't be done. So the first thing I want to mention is just that idea of like the 40-hour work week or 8 hours, 5 days a week was very much built around one person, usually the breadwinner of the family, usually the male, working for 5 days a week, and was designed with the assumption that someone else would be there to take care of the cooking and cleaning and household errands. You know, the wife or the partner or the mother would be doing all the other things. And therefore, when people have a full-time job and then try and look after their home and may have kids or pets or be a carer, I think the first thing I want to say around work-life balance is that the timings and the expectations put upon us in our current Western world, in the culture that we're in, were not designed for you to be doing it all, and that you're not a failure for not doing it all, because it was designed around having two people to share the burden almost equally in terms of those 40 hours a week that the man was working, the woman would be doing housework and looking after children. And obviously this doesn't fit with our current modern way of looking at the world, and yet we still have 40-hour work weeks, except now in order to afford food and rent and all the other things, mortgages, etc., we have to both have jobs full-time and then try and fit the housework and childcare and caring responsibilities around that. So with that caveat in place, that we're not meant to be able to do it all. This entire system that we're in the Western world is designed around someone else doing the cleaning, household, caring responsibilities while you work 40 hours a week. I then want to say that life balance is one of those things that a lot of people say doesn't exist, because how can you balance everything? Which again, from what I've just said, makes sense. Food, work, sleep, play, health, family, friends, creative pursuits, hobbies, projects, etc., etc. It's overwhelming. And so the second thing I want to say about balance is that it doesn't just refer to things which are equal, but more that things are in the correct proportion. So if you want to go to the gym and you want to go to a painting class, it might be that you go to the gym 30 minutes 3 times a week and you do 1 hour of painting a week. Now that doesn't mean you're not getting a balance, because they're not equal. And again, that can then change. So particularly at the moment in my day job, things are quite busy, so I don't have that many outside pursuits. It's also worth remembering the ebb and flow of life. So when things are a little bit calmer at work, I'm much more likely to put more effort and energy and time into exercise, into writing, into some of those other hobbies and housework, and maybe doing a bit of DIY and decorating and things. Whereas when things are really stressed, I tend to cut back down to the things that just refill my well, because that's all I have time and energy for at that time in my life. And that's okay. It's okay to have the ebb and flow. It's okay that you aren't getting the house perfectly clean every single week, but you have to do it on a 4-weekly rolling rota where you can actually have gone through the whole house and cleaned it properly for your standards. And I also want to think about balance of the right amount of each thing for us to thrive. I will put a link in the show notes to the 7 ± 2 rule, and I also have a whole course that is basically built up around this concept that we can only mentally handle between 5 and 9 separate projects in our life at one time. And therefore, again, thinking about cycling it in and out, that ebb and flow of what's going to be in this particular quarter of your life or this month in order for you to get that balance right for you is really important. So I will link that in the show notes. When it comes to actually working out what that balance might look like for you, there are 2 key foundations that I focus on. The first one is, can I keep this going? Or is this sustainable? Or can I be consistent? And for me, that's about checking in with myself on how many current projects do I have. On how many current projects I have. And I prefer to have 6. So of the between 5 and 9, I find that 6 works well for me. So that is what I personally use. And when I then have day job takes up 1, health takes up another. If it's a novel writing month, then that takes up another. And really thinking about cycling those through, not doing all of them every week. How do I kind of fit them in? How am I going to make this sustainable so that I can be consistent? Because consistency is key. And as I say, that consistency isn't, I must do an hour of this every week forever. It's consistency of every 3rd Wednesday I will do an hour of this, and then in 3 months see if I want to switch out that kind of mental space or that physical time for a different project. And the other half is adaptability. So how do I manage change? What if something changes? Because nothing is static in life. Holidays, family visits, transitions like new jobs, illnesses, moving house, a global pandemic tends to have an impact, I've discovered. And even choosing a new habit to focus on can take more energy than you first anticipate. So life is just full of change and transition and the need to adapt. And therefore, in that general activities for a fulfilled, balanced life, knowing which things are negotiable and which ones are not is really helpful, so that when there is the day that the cat woke me up 8 times in the middle of the night and I need to fit a nap in the day in order to drive safely somewhere in the afternoon, I can just take a nap in that workout slot or that meditation slot, because actually on that day, my priority is I need to make sure I've had enough sleep so that I can drive safely or whatever it would be. And how you keep track of those priorities are going to change, but for me, knowing what has the highest priority on that particular day is key. And being able to be flexible with it, making sure it is adaptable. As I say, I don't sort of try and fit in the workout even though actually on that day I need something else. I'm able to be flexible and then, shift around the workout plan or just not miss the next one. There are plenty of ways that in the long term, in 10 years' time, missing that one workout that one time, if it's a one-off, is not going to make a difference. It really isn't. So this week, I'd like you to think about where you have or don't have balance in your life. Are you coming home from work, making yourself go to the gym, trying to do an extra bit of art class, taking a language lesson, doing a language learning app, and trying to cram everything in a way that's unsustainable? Or are you the opposite and feeling like you literally come home and you just fall asleep and you eat, you work, you sleep, you eat, you work, you sleep, and that's your routine, and actually you need to work on that balance to bring something else in? Because we can fall both ways. And I will say that in the last 18 months, here in England, we've still been in lockdown kind of measures, which have changed as of yesterday, but personally I'm not changing anything I do because I don't feel that it is safe. And therefore thinking about the things you're committing to, the priorities you've got in your life, which things motivate you and refill your well. I think it's so important at any time, but particularly when we've been through this period of massive upheaval and isolation and complete and utter change of how we do things, how we work, how we live our lives, how we socialise. It's okay, and in fact it's expected, it's normal that we are re-evaluating things and maybe not able to do all the things we could do a year and a half ago. So I'm going to end this episode here with just that idea of thinking about balance in your life. What needs to change, if anything? How can you tweak it just a little to give yourself that extra 1% of leeway, of space, of breathing room? As always, thank you so much for listening. I hope you are all well, and I'll speak to you again next week. Bye. Thanks for listening, and as always, you can find out more at RootedReinvention.com. Take care, remember you are more capable than you often realise, and I'll see you next time. Bye.